I tried another egg dish in my sous vide. I'm definitely going to pronounce it wrong, but I think it's called eggs en coquette. And it turned out really good, so stick around to see my reaction to it at the end. So first off, I decided to make this actually based on an Instant Pot recipe that I found, and I just thought, hey, I bet I could make that in the sous vide. What I like about using the sous vide is that you can schedule things for when you want them. And this is especially helpful when you're making something like a breakfast that you might want to wake up to, because it can keep it refrigerated until it's time to cook. That's not what I did in this case, because I was just testing out a recipe and wanted to be around to see how long it actually ended up taking to cook. But it's something that you can do in the future, and that now that I know that it works, I can do it too. So first of all, I wanted to put in some veggies and meat, so I cut up some onion, some garlic, and some kale, and I went ahead and sauteed all of this in a separate pan. You cannot saute in the sous vide. You could use it to roast other veggies or something like that if you wanted that in there, but for the purposes of this recipe, I did have to use another pan on my stove. Then I also chopped up some bacon that I already had made, and I set all that aside. Then I pulled out my sous vide tray, and then I pulled out some ramekins, and then I buttered the sides so that nothing would stick too much. I put in about a tablespoon of heavy cream into each one, and then I portioned out my kale, onion, garlic mixture and my bacon bits, and then I cracked 2 eggs into each one. This actually ended up being more egg than I really wanted, and they were full to the brim. I think if you used smaller eggs, I had large or extra large eggs, but if you used medium eggs, that might work better. Or just use 1 egg. It was just more than I was expecting, so they were basically overflowing. And then I also sprinkled on a little bit of cheese because I thought that sounded good. At this point, you could choose to put foil over each little ramekin, and I think that's what you should do. But mine were so full that I actually thought that this would cause trouble. So I filled up the tray with water and put each ramekin in as it would fit. I did 4 because that's what fit in 1 tray. And then I covered the whole tray with foil. I do think this would have worked a little bit better with foils on each individual one, and that's on me for not making sure that my eggs would fit properly when I put them in. So then I put the whole thing into the bottom slot of the sous vide. I did like that this would give me a chance to see how the sous vide reacted to having foil in it, since I was asked that in another video. I know this is probably not the context in which you would try to use foil, and it's probably to line the trays, but I did want to make sure that having foil in the machine wouldn't cause any trouble. And it didn't, but I'd still do the foil on each individual ramekin in the future. I put it into the bottom because it's just easier when you have your whole tray full of water to use the bottom one, because you can slide it in and avoid getting your ingredients mixed in with your water or sloshing water out. So that's why I use the bottom. And then I set it to bake at 350 degrees for 25 minutes. By the time it was done, I checked and these were not cooked at all. Like at all. So I decided I probably needed to use a higher temperature. I do think there is a little bit of a disparity between the temperatures on the sous vide and the temperatures of an oven, especially because you don't preheat. So I imagine that would make a little bit of a difference. I went ahead and put it to 400 degrees and cooked it again. When I came back, it still was not particularly cooked. So I ran it for some extra time, again at 400 degrees. Then I actually had to leave to go pick my daughter up from school and was running some errands, and so it just stayed in the sous vide, which was likely very hot. Unfortunately, that means I don't know how long it cooked in the end, but when I came back, it was fully cooked. And that was great, but I was very worried about how that texture was gonna come out. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut to my actual reaction now, because I did film it in the moment. I was not planning to film myself eating these necessarily. I actually thought they were gonna come out really bad because I kept putting them in and then they were not cooked at all and it was just terrible. But they came out so good. I just needed to put them in longer and for a higher temperature. So that was the key, and they came out so amazing. I thought they were gonna be super hard and rubbery, but they came out super soft and they're just really delicious. So I just wanted to record my reaction in real time because they're so good and I'm so happy with how this came out. I was very surprised at how good these eggs turned out. I really thought they were going to be super rubbery and not good based on how long I thought I had had them in, but they turned out great. They were soft, they were delicious. I think if I could adjust the time, I would cook it for a little less time just to get a runnier yolk because I prefer that experience, but I also really like cooked egg whites, so there's just sort of a balance there. And in the end, I really liked how it tasted. I also tested whether these could be microwaved and eaten again the next day without turning rubbery, and they were fine. They were delicious. Everything turned out great. I was super surprised at how well this turned out. Again, I'm sorry that not all of my recipes can turn out perfectly, but this is another one where you can benefit from my mistakes and try it yourselves, knowing that it's going to take longer and need more time. If you guys liked this video, please leave me a like, and thanks for watching. How do you say that, Ramkin? Ramekin?